Discover 17 incredible 2025 releases that will transform your life forever. Don't miss out. In the quaint rural town of Maplewood, where summer evenings waft with the scent of fresh-cut grass and stars blanket the night sky, Lucy found herself caught in a whirlwind. At 34 years old, she was a determined single mother to two beautiful kids, Tommy, a spirited 10-year-old, and Lily, her bright-eyed 8-year-old. Life, however, had dealt them a cruel blow. The loss of her husband, a devoted veteran whose love for their little community echoed like a fading melody in her heart. As the community fair approached, promises of new innovations hung in the air like fragrant blooms. Yet, whispers stained with judgment clouded her family's joy. Talk of her reliance on government assistance lingered like an unwelcome fog. Lucy juggled two part-time jobs, desperately working to build a better life, all while the weight of her husband's absence pressed heavily on her chest. "I will not let them drown us in shame," she did tell herself, the spirit of her husband's words guiding her. "Be a voice for the voiceless." Then came the app, a revolutionary education tool designed for children like Tommy and Lily, meant to turn learning into an adventure. Hope ignited within her, painting dreams of introducing it to their school. But as she yearned to reach out to the community leaders, resistance met her at every turn. They spoke as if their privileged lives shielded them from the struggles faced by families like hers. "You just don't understand," she would whisper to the shadows when nights got too heavy to days blurred into one another. A painful incident pushed her over the edge. Tommy, full of spirit but sensitive as ever, returned home with tears brimming in his eyes, the cruel laughter from classmates echoing deep in her heart. "They said we're poor," he choked out, clenching his fists. That moment ignited something fierce within Lucy. She became a lioness defending her cubs. "You will not define my children by what we lack," she declared. She knew their spirit and dignity weren't determined by the numbers in her bank account. Determined, she planned a community event to showcase the app, reaching out to other families wrestling with hardship. Yet, from the fringes of her efforts came skeptics, those who once deemed her a failure, pointing fingers of ridicule instead of understanding. But now, fueled by the fierce protectiveness that sprang from her heart, Lucy gathered a few empathetic voices, and the tales of resilience began to chirp through Maplewood's valleys, echoes of shared struggles and dreams for brighter tomorrows. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The day of the event dawned, filled with the scent of hopes mingling with thick clouds of doubt. As Lucy stood before a crowd watching with bated breath, the air thickened with tension. Will they hear us? She thought, heart pounding. Would their stories break the chains of judgment? Will they be seen as human? Lucy's voice trembled but ignited. She spoke her truth, the truth of so many. A moment of silence emerged, pregnant with possibility. Would they choose to embrace their story or turn away? As she stood under the canopy of stars, the world felt poised, lingering on the cusp of change. The silence stretched, heavy and palpable. Lucy felt the weight of every gaze upon her, a mixture of curiosity and skepticism swirling through the crowd. Her heart raced. She had chosen this moment, this platform, not just for her children, but for every family silenced by shame and judgment. Today isn't just about an app, it's about our voices, she began, her voice clear and unwavering. It's about the children in this community who deserve every chance to thrive, regardless of their circumstances. A flicker of hope ignited in her chest as she noticed a few nods from the audience. She knew then that some were listening. As she continued, weaving in her family's story, tears glimmered in her eyes. "Tommy and Lily are my world. They have boundless potential, just like every child here. But we need to lift each other up instead of pulling each other down." Her words streamed out, raw and earnest, each sentence driven by the fire within her. Lily stood beside her, clutching tightly to her skirt. The little girl's big eyes scanned the faces before them, searching for kindness. Tommy, brave and supportive, shot a reassuring smile to his sister, whispering something that made her giggle despite the weight of the moment. "It's easy to dismiss what you don't understand," Lucy spoke, keeping her gaze steady on the elders in front of her. "But I ask you to walk with us, to see beyond our situation. Let us use this app. It's a bridge, not a barrier. For learning, for growth, for connection." She could feel the ground hard under her shoes, but in her heart, it felt like everything was about to shift. The murmurs began to rise, the tension lifting like morning fog. People shifted in their seats, some leaning forward, intrigued. Just then, a familiar figure appeared at the edge of the gathering, a neighbor Lucy hadn't expected to show up. Mrs. Thompson, widow and staunch traditionalist, made her way toward the front, her face a mask of apprehension. "I've watched you, Lucy. Watched you struggle, watched you fight." Her voice cracked slightly as she continued. "But I've also seen your kids. They deserve this chance. We deserve this chance." Gasps spread through the crowd. There was disbelief mixed with intrigue. Lucy's heart soared. She could hardly believe the powerful words were coming from the very woman who had once scoffed at her struggles. Then, like a ripple effect, others joined in, a few hesitant voices emerging in support. "You're right. This isn't just about one family. We've got to stand together." Slowly but surely, more expressions of solidarity followed. Lucy felt tears well in her eyes again as she watched the conversations awaken among the attendees. But just as the mood shifted, it was interrupted. A burst of laughter erupted from a group at the back, led by one of the cockier boys from school. "You think this little app is going to change anything? Look who you're talking to." His taunt sliced through the supportive atmosphere like a knife, causing Lucy's heart to drop. Yet she wasn't willing to be derailed. She stepped forward, determined. "It starts with us, right here, right now. You can laugh all you want, but we deserve to be heard." Her words, laden with emotion, hung in the air as the crowd fell silent again, faced with a choice about their views. Every heartbeat felt like an echo. Would they rally behind her? Would they drown out the mockery with understanding? Or would judgment once again settle over Maplewood like a shadow? With uncertain hope blossoming around her, Lucy stood firm, eyes scanning the crowd for answers, anxious for what would happen next. The crowd's silence stretched again, but this time it felt different. An undercurrent of energy rippled through the attendees, a pulse of collective possibility mixed with apprehension. Lucy took a deep breath, her chest tightening as the cocky boy's laughter still echoed in her mind. She could almost feel every heartbeat resonating with her own, her message hanging precariously in the air. Suddenly, a middle-aged man named Mr. Sanders, known for his quiet demeanor, rose from his seat. He cleared his throat, drawing attention, and Lucy's heart raced. "I thought those kids would never amount to anything," he started, his voice barely breaking the quiet. "But I've seen Tommy stand up for his friends. I've seen Lily help her classmates. They've opened my eyes. I was wrong." The sincerity in his words washed over Lucy like a wave, bringing forth a warmth she hadn't expected. Then, several others stood. A single mother spoke, her voice trembling. "I'm tired of feeling alone. We're not just individuals. We're a community. We need to uplift each other, just like Lucy says." The emerging chorus of voices sparked something inside Lucy. A flicker of hope flared again, warming her in a way she thought impossible just moments earlier. The cocky boy, the laughter still hovering over him, faltered as his friends grew quiet. Lucy glanced at Tommy, who exchanged surprised looks with Lily. They hadn't expected this. Each voice built upon the last, the collective narrative of struggle and resilience unfurling before Lucy's eyes. She felt the crowd shift, the energy morphing from indifference into solidarity. "We can do this," a woman shouted, her fist pumping. "We can't keep hiding." Lucy realized it wasn't just the app they were fighting for anymore. It was respect, it was validation, and it was hope for a better future. The community stood at a precipice, ready to decide whether they would leap together or retreat back into their corners. Still, the boy in the back clenched his fists, defiance pushing against the tide of connection sweeping over them. "You're all fooling yourselves," he called out, voice dripping with mockery. "You really think your little voices matter? You think being nice will change a damn thing?" But each heartbeat echoed louder. The murmurs of agreement filled the space where his words had tried to sow seeds of doubt. Lucy lifted her chin and met the boy's gaze, refusing to back down. "Matter? They already do. Excitement surged in the crowd, like a rippling wave, as people began to stand fully, expressing their support. Tommy joined in next to her, repeating, "We're stronger together." His voice, bold and unwavering, pulled the energy back to Lucy, and she took one more step forward, emboldened. "Maybe it's not just about us," she cried, her voice rising over the swell of conversation. "Maybe this is a call for every family here who feels unheard. Let us rewrite the story for all of us." As warmth spread through the now invigorated audience, she could sense a shift, one that felt profound and eternal. The laughter that had meant to mock was drowned out by voices united in hope. Lucy's heart raced. Ignited by the overwhelming support, she tangled with disbelief over what had just transpired. But the boy's laughter still echoed faintly in her mind. An unease lingered, and she understood the path ahead would be rocky. Just then, someone in the back of the crowd shouted, "What happens next?" The question hung in the air, thick and charged with anticipation. Lucy's eyes sparkled with determination. She could sense that this was only the beginning. What they needed now were not words alone but actionable change, a plan that could truly bind them and reshape their future. How would they organize their voice into action? Would fear continue to block their path, or would courage sweep them forward into the unknown? Lucy felt the stirrings of a reckoning ahead, and as everything around her buzzed with energy, one thought anchored deep in her heart. This was her moment, and she was ready. The question hung in the air, almost heavy enough to touch. Lucy looked out across the crowd, faces illuminated by the dim lights, and saw a mix of excitement and uncertainty. This wasn't just another meeting. This was the dawn of something new. As her heart beat rapidly, she felt the weight of anticipation build within her, fueling her resolve. Tommy stepped forward again, his eyes shining with encouragement. "We need to form a plan. Let us come together, not just talk about it, but actually do something." His voice rang like a bell, and Lucy could feel the crowd leaning in, waiting, ready to grasp the momentum. "What about a community meeting?" Lily suggested, her voice slicing through the murmur. "If everyone can come together, we can gather our ideas, our needs, and build something real." A ripple of agreement coursed through the audience, a chorus of yes that echoed off the walls. Lucy felt her chest swell with pride for her friends, for this growing band of supporters who now filled the space around her. They were more than just voices. They were a force. One older woman from the back spoke up, her voice trembling but steady. "We need to focus on the kids. They're our future. We have to show them we believe in them." A murmur of approval rose, and Lucy felt her eyes glisten. This was what she had hoped for, an awakening. But even amidst the buoyancy of their energy, a shadow flickered in the back of her mind. The boy's laughter still lingered, a reminder of the resistance that lay ahead. What if he was right? Was it really possible to make a difference? Lucy shook her head slightly, pushing the thought aside. "Let us break into groups," she suggested, her voice steady. "We can tackle different areas based on what we're passionate about. Support for struggling families, educational resources, mental health initiatives. We can create a platform for our voices." People nodded enthusiastically around her, whispers bouncing back and forth with enthusiasm. The atmosphere buzzed like a live wire, every person contributing pieces to a puzzle that was finally coming together. "Who wants to take the lead on outreach?" Tommy raised his hand, and another person followed. Soon, Lucy found herself surrounded by hands shooting up, eagerness sparkling in their eyes as they stepped forward to claim their part in this movement. As the groups formed, Lucy marveled at the transformation of the space. No longer filled with hesitation, the room pulsed with determination. She saw connections forming, friendships igniting, all propelled by a shared sense of purpose. "Let us meet again next week," someone shouted, igniting cheers and applause. "Let us meet every week," Lucy responded, smiling at the sea of faces that now shared her vision. As the crowd began to disperse, a feeling of possibilities floated around them like confetti. But as the noise quieted, the cocky boy finally stood, glaring fiercely. "This is just a fantasy. You think this will change anything?" His voice cut sharply through their joyful chatter, and Lucy's heart sank for a moment. She stepped forward again, determined not to waver. "No, this is just the beginning. Our actions will speak louder than your doubts." The words burst from her, filled with fire. This was her chance to take a stand not just for herself, but for everyone who dared to dream. As she looked around at her community, rallying together, Lucy felt the stirrings of change unfolding. It wouldn't be easy, but for the first time, she truly believed they could overcome. But even as hope soared, fear lingered like an uninvited guest. Were they ready for what lay ahead? Would every voice matter when they faced opposition? In the heart of her confidence, a tension tightened. The moment felt electric, and as she walked away from the gathering, her thoughts raced. How would they confront the boyish challenge? What obstacles would arise, and how strong could they become? Lucy felt the weight of their journey ahead, and she wondered what challenges would push them to their limits. And would they emerge stronger together or crumble under pressure? The week flew by in a blur of excitement and trepidation. As the meeting day approached, Lucy found herself pacing in her small living room, the walls echoing with her swirling thoughts. Encouraging ideas had fanned into a wildfire, but the fear of failure loomed just as large. She could still picture the boy's face, that mocking smile cutting deep into her newfound confidence. What if he was right? When the day finally arrived, the community center buzzed with energy. Families trickled in, chatting animatedly, catching up on life while the children played. Lucy stood at the entrance, a clipboard in her hands, as a range of emotions washed over her: hope, anxiety, excitement. Tommy arrived, exuberant as ever, with a box of snacks that he set on the registration table. Best fuel for this big brain trust. He grinned, and Lucy couldn't help but smile back. People milled about, shaking hands, sharing stories. The feeling in the room was contagious, a tapestry of voices and ideas. Lucy welcomed each guest with a warm smile, thrilled to see familiar faces mingling alongside new ones. As she glanced at the growing crowd, a thought raced through her mind. This was about to become something real. When the time came to officially start, Lucy stepped onto the makeshift stage. The murmuring quieted, and she could feel the room's collective heartbeat. "Thank you all for coming," she began, her voice steady despite the tremor in her heart. "Last week, we took our first steps toward creating change. Tonight, we're going to solidify our plan." Applause rippled through the crowd, warming her from the inside. Individuals were already forming small groups, organizing ideas around tables. Groups focused on education, job training, and after-school programs began to take shape. Lucy felt a surge of hope. Was this really happening? As she navigated the room, she overheard snippets of conversations. Talks of fundraising for educational supplies, mentorship programs for the kids, and support systems for struggling families filled the air. The noise was busy, but it was a joyful cacophony, one filled with determination. Midway through the evening, Lucy noticed a shift. The cocky boy she had confronted last week had slipped into the back of the room, arms crossed. His presence sent a chill down her spine. She reminded herself of the words she had spoken with conviction. Just then, Lily's voice called out, "How about we brainstorm what success looks like for our community?" They broke into smaller groups, each wrestling with the dream of what change could look like. Lucy joined a group near the back, where Tommy and another mom were laying out ideas on a large pad. "I think we need to include more voices, maybe have regular town halls," Tommy suggested, scribbling furiously. "Great idea. We can rotate locations. It'll be more accessible," Lucy chimed in, feeling the momentum build. Laughter erupted from their discussion, joy igniting her spirit. But just as swiftly as it rose, Lucy felt her confidence falter again. She turned to look for the boy, but he was gone. The pit in her stomach deepened. Why did his absence feel like a weight? Later, as the night wrapped up, a sense of accomplishment filled the room, but there was still an edge of uncertainty. Lucy caught sight of an older man near the door, watching with keen interest. As people shuffled out, he approached her. "You have something good here. But remember, not everyone will be supportive," he said quietly. His words echoed as she nodded, acceptance dawning. "We're ready for whatever comes our way," she replied, her voice more powerful than she felt. Defiance stirred within her. They had ignited a fire. Together, they could face any storm ahead. But in the stillness of the emptying room, Lucy couldn't shake the feeling that challenges loomed, waiting to test their resolve. "Lucy," Tommy called. "Ready for the next steps?" Her heart raced. "Absolutely," she said, her mind reeling with the thought. What hidden obstacles were waiting to emerge? And would they remain united when the winds began to blow? The following week felt like a pendulum swinging between exhilaration and doubt. As Lucy prepared for the next community meeting, she found herself staring at the same clipboard, now filled with pages of brainstorming notes and potential plans. But it wasn't just the ideas dominating her mind. It was the nagging anxiety of the boy's mocking smile haunting her thoughts. Ready? Tommy's voice broke through her reverie, filled with a warm encouragement. She looked over at him, his enthusiasm unchanged since their last meeting. His confidence rubbed off on her. Yes, let us do this, she replied, straightening her back and lifting her chin. The community center again buzzed with life. Families gathered, chatting and sharing stories, a vibrant patchwork of voices and laughter. Yet, beneath the surface, Lucy sensed an undercurrent of tension. She could feel the weight of hesitant glances and whispered exchanges. Each moment was a reminder that not everyone shared their excitement. Some skeptics lurked in the shadows, possibly waiting to pounce. Hey, Lucy, love what you're doing. A mother beamed as she approached, children in tow. The compliment brought a brief glow of warmth, but was quickly overshadowed by a flicker of unease as she noticed small knots of unfamiliar faces, adults whispering and pointing. Once again, she found herself on stage. The microphone felt both familiar and foreign. Electric energy mingled with deep-seated fear. Welcome back, everyone, Lucy said, her voice steady, though her insides churned. Tonight, we'll continue building our community vision. We've made great strides, and together we can overcome any obstacles. Applause filled the air, so loud it almost drowned out her doubts. Groups formed quickly around tables, diving into new projects. Lucy floated from table to table, hearing discussions about partnerships with local businesses and even sharing space with the library for resource fairs. Hope bloomed, reaching towards her like blossoming flowers. Then, during a particularly engrossing discussion about a job fair, Lucy felt a familiar chill run down her spine. The boy, now bolder, had taken a seat in the front row, eyeing her with that same infuriating smirk. She took a deep breath, a reminder that she was there for more than just herself. Tension crackled in the air as she said, "Let us address questions and concerns." She glanced toward him, trying to box in her anxiety. "What challenges do you think we might face?" He raised a hand, and the room fell silent. "I think you're just wasting everyone's time. This will go nowhere," he sneered, drawing gasps from nearby attendees. Her heart raced, but Lucy held her ground. "We have to start somewhere," she countered, fueled by the weight of their collective hopes. "Every big change begins with a simple idea and a group of people willing to work for it. So what do you suggest?" The boy hesitated, clearly thrown off by her directness. Meanwhile, the audience shifted. Some nodded with tentative approval, others looked uneasy, sensing the mounting pressure. Tommy jumped in, his voice as steady as Lucy's was now. "If we can engage everyone here, we can address any concerns and work through them. It's time to involve the whole community, including you." His gaze turned to the boy, and despite the minor setbacks, Lucy felt the spirit of resilience rising. That as the conversation shifted, Lucy could feel a wave of support swell around her. Yet, doubt still lingered like thick fog. What if tomorrow brought another confrontation? That night, Lucy lay in bed, balancing hope against uncertainty. She began drafting a plan for outreach to bolster engagement, an idea taking shape in her mind. But whispers in her heart warned her that more than just words were required. They needed trust, commitment, and most importantly, unity. And in that quiet moment, a firm question settled over her. Would they be able to rally everyone around a common vision, or would it all come crashing down like a house of cards? Determined, Lucy whispered into the darkness, "Tomorrow, we'll make it happen." But as sleep began to take her, an unsettling thought lingered. Would their unity hold when the true tests began? The sun rose reluctantly the next morning, casting an uncertain light on Lucy's mission. She stirred awake with a mix of determination and dread. Today was crucial. She could already feel the shadows of doubt creeping in even before her feet hit the floor. As she sat up and rubbed her eyes, she made a promise to herself. She would not allow fear to dictate her day. After a quick breakfast, she dashed to her laptop, her heart racing. She spent the morning writing emails, reaching out to various community leaders, inviting them to join her for an informal gathering later that week. The hunger for participation was there. She just needed to find a way to feed it. "Hey you." Tommy's cheerful voice pulled her out of her concentration. He appeared at her door, hands on his hips and a crooked smile lighting up his face. "What's with the early hustle?" "Just trying to get everyone on board for the outreach meeting," she replied, feeling a spark of excitement at his presence. "You ready for today?" "Absolutely. Let us go knock their socks off." His enthusiasm was infectious. As they made their way to the community center, Lucy took a moment to watch the neighborhood waking up. Children raced down the street on bicycles, while parents chatted over fresh cups of coffee. It was a vivid contrast to the bubbling anxiety inside her. The vibrancy of the world outside reminded her of why she was working so hard. Arriving at the center, the atmosphere was buzzing again. People were milling about, their faces etched with anticipation or skepticism. Lucy spotted familiar faces and some new ones in the crowd, including the boy who had challenged her the night before. He leaned against a wall, as if waiting for his moment to strike again. "Stay strong," Tommy murmured as they approached the main area. His support grounded her. With her clipboard clutched tightly, Lucy found her rhythm on stage once more. "Thanks for coming, everyone. Today we're reaching out to see how we can involve more voices in our community initiatives. Your feedback is vital." She noted the boy's face twist in disbelief, but she didn't let that deter her. Instead, she continued, "We want to hear from everyone positive ideas, critiques, concerns. All are welcome." The audience seemed to be listening. Hands shot up, discussions brewed, and for a moment Lucy felt the energy. People spoke about their needs and their hopes for the community, generating a beautiful cacophony of ideas. Each shared word was like a thread pulling them closer together. However, just as she began feeling confident, the boy interrupted. "You think this all seems nice, but what if you just don't have the experience? What gives you the right to lead this?" His smirk returned, and the air thickened with tension. Lucy's heart pounded, a mixture of anger and determination igniting within her. "You're right. I don't have all the answers. But together, we can figure this out. It's not about me, it's about us. If anyone has better ideas, let us hear them. Let us challenge each other." The collective energy in the room shifted, wavering between uncertainty and burgeoning support. She could feel the audience leaning in, some nodding. Her words were resonating. After the boy fell silent, a woman emerged from the back of the room. "You know what? I've felt unheard for too long, and I believe we can create something great if we stand together." The crowd erupted in applause, and Lucy felt a rush of relief. What she didn't expect was the slow build of courage that came after. The boy's smirk faded, replaced by something almost contemplative. Was he reconsidering? As the meeting continued, Lucy marveled at the conversations flowing around her. Ideas bounced between groups like a basketball in a friendly game. She was elated but still wary, her vision of unity flickering in her mind. Fragile, yet hopeful, by the end of the day. As they wrapped up, Tommy looked at Lucy with pride. "You did it. You got people talking. That's what it's all about." Despite her relief, a sliver of doubt crept in again. Would this momentum last? As she drove home, questions filled her mind. If they were to truly unite and address the deeper issues in their community, how much more effort would it require? Arriving at her house, she hesitated at the door, a sense of anticipation building within her. Tomorrow loomed large, a chance to deepen connections and address challenges head-on. She could almost feel the weight of the community as hope on her shoulders. And deep down she wondered, was this just the beginning of something bigger than herself? Would they be ready for what lay ahead? Lucy woke up the next morning with a persistent flutter of anticipation in her stomach. The sun peeked through her window, casting warm patches of light across her floor. Today was much more than just another day. It was an opportunity to turn the momentum from yesterday's meeting into something tangible. She felt the echoes of everyone's voices still ringing in her ears, and it kept her spirits buoyed. After a quick breakfast, she revisited her notes from the meeting. The ideas scribbled down in hasty handwriting seemed to pulse with life. She felt invigorated by the promise of a collective vision, yet still anxious about how to bring it all together. Would they still feel the same way after the talk had settled? Ready for your day? Tommy's voice broke through her thoughts, pulling her back to reality. He stood at her door with his usual sunny disposition, bouncing on his heels. More than ready. I just wish I knew how to keep this energy flowing, Lucy replied, running a hand through her hair. Just be you. You lit a spark, and it's up to you to fan it into a flame. He grinned, and she felt a renewed sense of purpose wash over her. They drove to the community center together, the familiar streets bustling with energy. Children laughed, and the scent of fresh bread wafted through the air from a nearby bakery. Lucy savored each moment, letting positivity seep into her thoughts. If they could just harness this community spirit, they could change lives. Upon entering the center, Lucy noticed a vibrant poster announcing the upcoming fair. They were inviting everyone to participate, each group showcasing their initiatives. A dynamism filled the air, with volunteers setting up booths that reflected a mosaic of hopes and aspirations. But as her eyes swept over the crowd, she noticed one figure lingering at the back, his arms crossed, a shadow cast over his face. Can I help you with anything? Lucy asked, approaching him cautiously. Just looking, he replied, his tone dismissive. Determined to reach him, she leaned closer. I appreciate that you have doubts, but I'd love to hear any ideas you might have about the fair. We need different voices to make this happen. His eyes narrowed slightly, but there was a flicker of curiosity behind them. You really think this will change anything? Absolutely. It's about building connections, genuine ones. We can't keep doing the same things and expecting different results. He studied her for a moment, his expression softening just a little. I'll think about it. Lucy smiled, hopeful. Every small step mattered. Determined, she moved back into the bustle, greeting others and inviting them to join in the planning. Each handshake, each warm smile fueled her commitment to creating the shift her community needed. Later that day, Tommy brought her over to a table where a group was discussing ideas for the fair. They were in mid-conversation about promoting local businesses when Lucy arrived. The energy was electric, and she couldn't help but join in, sharing her thoughts and listening intently to theirs. Lucy, do you think we could please get the school involved? One mother asked, her voice filled with hope. They have so many talents. Absolutely. Let us reach out to them. Lucy replied, her heart racing at the prospect of more connections being forged. The conversation flowed easily, and before long, they were brainstorming activities and organizing logistics. Lucy could almost see the community evolving right before her eyes, with each suggestion acting as a brick laid down in a path towards greater inclusion. But amidst the buzz, her earlier encounter haunted her. What if the boy's doubts echoed in others, too? Would they all come together, or would some still hold back? After wrapping up the meeting, Lucy found Tommy outside. That was something, he exclaimed, his eyes shining bright. It felt good, but we're still not there yet, she admitted, her smile wavering. I just need to figure out how to reach those who are still hesitant. As they walked toward her car, a weight settled in her heart again. Tomorrow was another opportunity, but could she keep the ball rolling? She had sparked a flame, but would it extinguish or grow? And in that moment, she realized. How do you keep your community connected when fear beckons at the door? The next day dawned bright and clear, but for Lucy, the sunlight felt less welcoming. The weight of uncertainty clung to her like a heavy fog. As she made her way to the community center, her mind churned with doubts and what-ifs. Could she really reach the hearts of those who were hesitant? The encounter with the boy lingered, a thorn in her side. Did she dare to believe that change was possible? When she arrived at the center, the energy felt different. The air was thicker, tinged with anticipation and anxiety. Volunteers milled about, setting up booths and sharing ideas. But Lucy sensed an undercurrent of reluctance among some. It was as if the air was crackling with unspoken fears. Lucy, called out Maria, a fellow volunteer. Are you ready to meet with the school representative? They've shown some interest in participating. Sure, I am, Lucy replied, attempting to boost her own morale. She couldn't let her insecurities show, not now. They gathered in a small room, for chairs arranged in a loose circle. The school representative, Mr. Allen, was a tall man with a stern face, and as he took a seat, Lucy couldn't help but notice the unease in his posture. She introduced herself, trying to keep her voice steady. We're excited about the fair and would love to showcase the students' talents. They have so much to offer. We'll see, he replied, his tone a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. But there's been some hesitation within the school. Some staff think it might not be worth the effort. Her heart sank. The fears she sensed were now palpable. But imagine the impact, she urged, leaning forward. Connecting students with the community could inspire them to dream bigger. They could showcase art, music, or even projects they're passionate about. Mr. Allen regarded her silently, the tension in the room thickening. She recognized his uncertainty mirrored her own doubts. It was a question of faith in the students, faith in the community, and most importantly, faith in themselves. Do you think they're capable? He finally asked, vulnerability breaking through his stoicism. Absolutely. Lucy exclaimed, her belief intensifying. You just have to give them the chance. Everyone deserves to be a part of something bigger, and the students could shine if they know we believe in them. There was a pause, a heavy, expectant moment. Then, Mr. Allen sighed. I'll take it back to the staff. But I can't promise anything. Lucy nodded, hoping her words had planted some seeds of thought. As they concluded the meeting, she felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, she could bridge the gap between doubt and action. Outside, she found Tommy waiting by the car, his enthusiasm as vibrant as ever. How did it go? He asked. She hesitated, weighing her words. I think I got through, but there's so much apprehension still. I wonder if it's too much to ask. Never. You're building a community, Lucy. It's going to have growing pains, but every small victory counts, he encouraged. The truth of his words hung in the air, a reminder that change seldom came easy. As they drove home, Lucy's mind was abuzz. Each person she met, every connection she forged, brought them closer together, but could she truly gather everyone under one roof? That night, Lucy lay in bed, her heart racing with thoughts of the fair and the connections still needed to be formed. She couldn't shake off the feeling that something big was on the horizon, yet fear loomed large at the edges. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. What if her efforts fell flat? But as she stared at the ceiling, an unyielding determination flared within her. She refused to let their voices be drowned out by fear. Tomorrow would be another chance, a chance to seek out those unvoiced doubts, confront them, and transform them into belief. The next morning, she would take another step forward. She just needed to convince those lingering shadows that together, they could create something extraordinary. But what would happen when she faced those fears head-on? The day of the community fair arrived like a beautiful sunrise, bursting with promise and opportunity. Lucy stood in front of her mirror, adjusting her hair and taking a deep breath. Today wasn't just another event. It was the culmination of everything she had worked for, the hopes of families, the aspirations of children, the strength of a community. As she arrived at the community center, butterflies danced in her stomach. Streets were alive with chatter, laughter, and the enticing smell of popcorn. Colorful booths adorned with vibrant banners were set up, each representing a different initiative. From educational activities to health workshops, excitement filled the air. Mom, check it out, Tommy exclaimed, beaming with pride as he showcased his school's art project covering their booth. His eyes sparkled, and Lucy felt a swell of joy wash over her. This is amazing, buddy, she said, unable to contain her smile. Little did he know, his enthusiasm reflected the heartbeat of the fair, a collective spirit of hope and determination. As people streamed through the doors, Lucy felt the energy shift. She moved through the crowd, greeting familiar faces and new ones alike. Every handshake and smile felt like a stepping stone toward creating something lasting. But there, lurking in the back, was the boy who had once taunted her. He observed from the edges, arms crossed, a watchful look on his face. His presence sent a wave of tension through her, but she took a steadying breath. This was not a day for doubt. Hey, everyone, Lucy called out, climbing up to the stage set in a corner of the bustling room. She noticed people turning their attention toward her, excitement buzzing. Welcome to our community fair. This not just represents what we've created, this represents who we are. She glanced at Tommy and Lily, their smiles fierce and resolute. They were ready to take on the world with her. Today is all about celebrating our children, our voices, our stories. It's about coming together, lifting each other up, and proving that we are stronger together than apart. Her voice rang clear, echoing off the walls. Applause erupted, filling the room with warmth. But her gaze sought the boy again. Was he shifting? opening to the vibe of unity that enveloped them. Let us give our kids the chance to shine, she continued, and the crowd leaned forward, hearts swelling with pride. As the fair progressed, booths came alive with laughter, creativity, and collaboration. Children showcased their talents, art flourished, and community spirit seeped into every conversation. Lucy saw families connecting, once strangers exchanging stories and smiles. But midway through an enthusiastic activity, she suddenly heard a familiar voice calling out, "This won't change anything." The boy's mocking tone cut through the joy like wind slicing through a sunny day. The air thickened, and silence fell over the crowd. Lucy's heart raced. Could this be the moment everything she built came crumbling down? But deep inside, she felt fire ignite. "No," she said, stepping forward, every ounce of strength focused on him. "This is about how we decide to respond to challenges. It's up to us to prove that we're more than what we've been labeled. We are worth not just playing a part, but being at the center of a beautiful change. And today proves that." Suddenly, a surprise ripple came forward from the crowd. A woman Lucy recognized, an elder from the neighborhood, stood up. "I've seen this community struggle and grow, Lucy," she said, her voice steady. "We have a chance in this fair to show everyone how powerful we can be when we unite." As more voices joined in, testimonies of support filled the air, like an unstoppable wave rising higher. Lucy felt the boy's eyes narrow, but even he couldn't fight the tide of unity that swelled around them. The crowd buzzed with energy, their voices lifting her own as they rallied behind the idea of community transformation. As the fair progressed, people started sharing their stories, encouraging one another to share ideas about how they could continue the momentum even after the last booth was packed up. By the end of the day, Lucy stood at the center of a circle of laughter, pride, and determination. She felt a warmth flow through her, knowing they had rewritten the story of Maplewood together. The boy, once just a voice of doubt, now stood observing with a hint of newfound respect. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Lucy joined her family and friends in celebration. They had faced judgment, embraced the unknown, and chosen to unite in the face of adversity. In that moment, surrounded by love, laughter, and fiercely hopeful voices, Lucy knew they had sparked the kind of change that could light up even the darkest corners of their lives. And as she looked around at the faces of her community, a profound realization settled in her heart. They were not just surviving, they were thriving, together. "Let us keep this going," she shouted, a radiant smile on her face. The joy exploded in cheers around her, a beautiful cacophony of unity echoing into the starry night. And so their journey continued, their voices intertwined, a powerful chorus ready to transform Maplewood forever. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm. Your support means everything. Comment your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us grow this community of hope together.